Hello everybody and welcome to episode 2 of Guild Wars 2 Mastermind. So I've been gathering some pretty awesome questions over the past couple of months since the previous episode of Mastermind. You guys enjoyed it so much I figured we'd do another quiz. So what is this? This is your chance to test how much you know about the game and particularly to put your wits up against mine. So I have devised a quiz that is composed of 40 questions. We've got 10 really easy ones that even complete noobs to the game should be able to answer, 10 normal ones, then 10 hard ones, and finally 10 ultra hard ones. At the end of the quiz, you'll get a score and you'll get to be able to determine just how good you are. So this is the ranking system. If you get anywhere between 0 and 40 points, you're a novice. Next, you're a veteran with 41 to 60 points. You're an elite at 61 to 80. A champion at 81 to 100. Legendary rank at 101 to 120. And if you get almost all the questions correct and get all the points, you'll be Trahan level. So play along, guys. I'm going to ask you a question. You can feel free to pause the video if you need more time to answer it. And just jot down, if you're at the PC, you know, on a notepad or something, what you think the answer is to each question. Either 1, 2, 3, or 4. And move on to the next question. Should only take about 10 minutes or so. And then I'll go through the answers for you guys. Best of luck. And unlike in the previous quiz, there's basically no Guild Wars 1 stuff here at all. Or spoilers, for what it's worth. All right, so moving on, let's go for the easy questions. Now, like I say, these are very easy. Just to warm you up, get you a little bit of confidence here. So, question 1. Players of Guild Wars 2 use what exactly to move around the game world quickly? Is it 1, outposts, 2, waypoints, 3, merchants, or 4, mounts? All right, question 2. Which condition of these hits the hardest? Is it 1, burning, 2, bleeding, 3, chill, or 4, poison? Moving quickly on to question 3. Which crafting discipline cannot be pushed to level 500? Which of these cannot go that high? Is it weaponsmith, armorsmith, artificing, or scribing? Question 4. How many racial skills do Guild Wars 2 characters get a hold of? On any one character, how many racial skills? Is it 2 racial skills, 6, 10, or 15? Question 5. Minister Caudicus' second name is what? Is it Beetlestone, Demi, Arton, or Caudicus? Question 6. At the release of Heart of Thorns, which of these was not a graphics option? Was it full screen, an FOV slider, ambient occlusion, or colorblind mode? Question 7. Which of the following is an elite specialization? Is it Oracle, Paragon, Herald, or Assassin? Question 8. Which boon significantly allows you to dodge more often? Is it swiftness, vigor, regeneration, or might? Question 9. A Guild Wars 2 signet is what exactly? It is a weapon skill, an ability that costs no energy, has an active and a passive, or is always instant activation. And lastly, for the easy questions, number 10, free-to-play accounts cannot do what? They cannot reach level 80, they cannot play any of the story, they cannot enter the PvP game modes, or they cannot transfer gold into gems. Alright, so nice, smooth sailing. Hopefully we're all doing pretty good at the moment. I do think that this quiz will get harder than the previous one. And we're going to ramp into it here. So, for the normal questions, your average Guild Wars 2 player should be able to peg these, but it's going to get your brain moving. So, normal questions are worth 2 points each for a correct answer. The easy questions were worth just 1 point. These ones are worth double that. So, here we go. Question 1. Which of these is not a skill? Is it Prayer to Cormyr, Prayer to Melandru, Prayer to Lissa, or Prayer to Dwayna? Question 2. How many targets does Conjure Fiery Greatsword Skill 5 Firestorm hit? How many targets? Is it 10, 5, 3, or 1? Question 3. Poison will actually reduce resurrection speed by how much? Is it 20%, 30%, 33%, or not at all? Question 4. Where is King Zoran from? Is he from Cantha, Elona, Kryta, or Or? Question 5. The first big update to Guild Wars 2 was what exactly? Flame and Frost, Halloween, South Sun Cove, or Winter's Day? Question 6. Master of Overkill completes at what point? Master of Overkill is an achievement for doing a massive amount of damage to an enemy. Does it complete at 50,000 damage, 100,000 damage, 200,000 damage, or a whopping 300,000 damage? Question 7. The Itzel and Nuhok, Hylek, worship a deity known as Melandru, Amayali, the Sun, or Quetzal? Question 8. How many ranger pets exist in the game currently? Is it 20, 30, 40, or 50? Question 9. Which of these is not a type of trait? Master, Major, Adept, or Novice? And lastly, question 10, for the normal questions. Guild Wars 2 runs on what exactly? Is it DirectX 9, DirectX 10, DirectX 11, or OpenGL? Alright, so there you go, guys. Hopefully some of those will have been really tolerable. It depends when you started playing the game, I suppose. But let's move on to the hard ones. Now, we're really going to amp up here. And best of luck before we get to Ultra Hard. The hard questions are each worth 4 points. So these are double what the normal questions were worth. 4 points each. Here we go. What was the name of your father as a Char character? Was it 1, Primus Gravepelt, 2, Argus Fool Killer, 3, Crusader Darktooth, or 4, Fartak Shatterfiend? Question 2. What strength, statistically, are your PvP weapons equivalent to? Are they level 78 exotics, level 80 exotics, level 80 ascended, or level 80 rare? Question 3. Which of these is not a Guild Wars 2 damage type? Is it physical, fire, choking, or slashing? Question 4. Which character have the devs joked that they use frequently for size comparisons? Is it Airster Galkin, Logan Thackeray, Lady Casimir, or Tiny? Question 5. What happened to your sister as a human character? Did she join the Vigil, stay in your home instance forevermore, die, or go missing? Question 6. How much does Garm weigh? Is it 130 pounds, 180 pounds, 200 pounds, or 280 pounds? Question 7. Which weapon type has the most skins? Is it the Focus, the Greatsword, the Shield, or the Dagger? Question 8. What color does the Magic Find bar change to when you max it out? Does it turn yellow, green, blue, or white? Question 9. In which dungeon does the character Zodja appear without her headdress on? Is it Crucible of Eternity, Cordicus' Manor, Ara, or Sorrow's Embrace? And lastly, for the hard questions, question 10. The Chinese release date for Heart of Thorns was when? October 23rd? November 1st? November 20th? Or it hasn't actually been released in 2015? Alright, so hopefully you guys did good there. Those are the hard questions. You're now moving on into Ultra Hard. Ultra Hard are designed to be some of the most difficult, ridiculous, specific pieces of trivia you can know about Guild Wars 2. This is just a small selection of 10 of them. Let's see if you get them, and if you are good enough to get these answers, they are worth 6 points instead of the hard questions, which were just worth 4. I need 10 questions left of the quiz. Best of luck, guys. You'll need it. Question 1. Which of these was not considered as a potential alliance for Scarlet Briar? Did she not consider the Largos and Tengu, the Kodan and Largos, the Centaurs with the Hylek, or the Etins and the Inquest? Question 2. Which weapon type has the least amount of skins in the game? Is it the Trident, the Focus, the Spear Gun, or the Torch? Question 3. Balthazar's hounds are known as what? Is it Shadowclaw and Custos, Adelaide and Spine, Tamar and Taegun, or Greyclaw and Shadowclaw? Question 4. Where do you encounter grave spawn grubs? Is it the Straits of Devastation, the Gendaran Fields, the Temple of the Forgotten Gods, or a Ra story mode? Question 5. Which of the following does not exist in Guild Wars 2? Is it a giant chief? Is it a lesser bladed Attic? A greater bladed Attic? Or a simple sandworm? Question 6. The Jaws of Oblivion is also known as what? Prangma, Sloven Pitch, Bowler Crossing, or Maelstrom's Core? Question 7. Which of the following is not a skill? Is it Buoy, or Buoy, as Americans would say, Water Fist, Death Curse, or Conceal the Depths? Question 8. The Orion Fire Eater is most similar to a what? Gargoyle, Drake, Abomination, or Risen Knight? Question 9. Which of the following is not a packed vessel to have crashed over Verdant Brink? Was it Thunderbreak, Farron's Flyer, Plains of Gogglheim, or Whitebear's Pride? And lastly, question 10. Identify the odd one out. Extraction complete. Memories in your hand. Please follow me to the exit. Bat Wrangler. All right. There we go, guys. There we go. Okay, so hopefully you've listed down your answers. If you guessed, all right, and I know some of you will have guessed, all right, just consider maybe don't give yourself a point for that one because it was a guess if you get it right. But here we go. We're going to go through the answers this time. Again, good luck, everybody, and hopefully you found some of those okay. I'll explain the thinking behind some of them. So, first of all, way back down to the easy questions. We're now in the answers round. I'll tell you guys what we have. So, number 1 was players of Guild Wars 2 use what to move around the game world? Well, this was option 2, waypoints. If you got that correct, give yourself a point. Question 2, which condition hits the hardest? Well, that, of course, was burning, option 1. Question 3, which crafting discipline you push to 500? Again, very simple. This is the newest one, scribing. This actually caps out at 400, so that's option 4. The 4th question, how many racial skills do we get as Guild Wars 2 characters? The most appropriate answer here is 6. 10 and 15 are way too high, 2 is way too low. Question 5, Minister Cordicus' second name is what? You might have been tempted to say Cordicus. He's Minister Cordicus, right? No, but he's Lord Minister Cordicus Beetlestone. Demia is actually his daughter's name, which may have thrown you off, and Arton is also another prominent minister who was working with Cordicus during the personal story. Question 6. At the release of Heart of Thorns, which of these was not a graphics option? Well, of course, it was colorblind mode. You might have been a little concerned when you saw stuff like the FOV slider and ambient occlusion, which are new options, but colorblind mode still is not a thing to this day. Question 7. Which of the following is an elite specialization? Well, as much as I'd love the Paragon, the Oracle, and the Assassin to be elite specializations, the only one here is the Herald, that being option 3. Question 8 was, which boon significantly will allow you to dodge more often? I deliberately added the word significantly in there to avoid confusion with people, but it's Vigor. So option 2, Vigor, allows you to dodge more often. Question 9, a Guild Wars 2 Signet does what exactly? Well, this is a skill that has both an active and a passive, and so that's option 3. And then the final easy question was that what free-to-play accounts cannot do, and they can reach level 80, they can play out the story, they can do PvP. The only thing they cannot do is transfer in-game gold to gems. They're a free-to-play player, so ArenaNet got to get their money somehow, right? All right, moving on. So we got the normal questions now. Again, these ones are worth 2 points, so give yourself 2 points every time you get one of these correct. So, Which of these was not a skill? Was it Prayer to Cormyr, Prayer to Melandru, Prayer to Lissa, or Prayer to Dwayna? The answer is actually Prayer to Melandru. Now, yes, humans do get a skill that allows them to invoke the powers of Melandru, but that is not the name of the skill. The name of the skill is Avatar of Melandru. Prayer to Dwayna, of course, is your heal, and both Lissa and Cormyr are utility skills you can slot. The other outlier here that I could have gone with would have been Avatar of Grenth, by the way. There is no Prayer to Grenth. All right, moving on. We've got question 2. How many targets does Conjure Fiery Greatsword Skill 5 Firestorm hit? So you had your options here of 1 target, 3, 5, or 10. The most common cleaving abilities will go somewhere between 3 or 5. This one actually hits 10. So it is different to the glyph-based utility skills Elementalists can run as well. This will go all the way up to 10. Not that it really counts for very much, but maybe tagging in World versus World. Question 3. Poison will reduce the resurrection speed by how much? 20%, 30%, 33%, or not at all? Now, you might have gone with not at all because we're talking about resurrection speed here. Now, it should be common knowledge that poison reduces incoming heals. But does it affect resurrects? It actually does. And it affects resurrects the same amount that it affects regular heals. That value is 33%. So this is option 3. Question 4 is, where did King Zoran come from? Where is King Zoran from? This is actually an Orion king. So this was option 4 was your correct answer. Question 5 was, what was the first big update to Guild Wars 2? You might have been tricked out by, say, Flame and Frost here because this is when Living World started, but the game was being updated before the idea of Living World, and its very first big update was Halloween. Question 6. Master of Overkill completes at what point? How much damage do we have to do to finish this achievement? Well, it's the very top end of the range. It's 300,000 damage in a single hit. Easily got on an ambient, kind of trivializes the whole achievement in my opinion, but yes, 300,000. That's option 4. The Itzel and the Nuhok Hylic worship a deity known as what? This was option 2, Amayali. You may have gone with the sun, because many Hylic do worship the sun, but not the Itzel and not the Nuhok. Question 8. How many ranger pets exist in the game? This is an interesting question, actually, because you've got to think about underwater ones and terrestrial ones, so the number's actually much bigger than you may expect, especially considering we've got some new ones with Heart of Thorns. The answer to that is 50. There are 50 new ranger pets. That was option 4. Question 9. Which of these is not a type of trait? This was probably, in my opinion, the most tricksy one in the normal section. Was it Master, Major, Adept, or Novice? Well, here's the way the traits work. You've got minor traits, which you do not select. These are the ones that appear like on every other rung of your specialization. You've got major traits, which you do select, 1 of 3. And then they tier up between Adept, Master, and Grandmaster. So the only term that doesn't apply to traits at all is Novice. Option 4. And then last of all, Guild Wars 2 runs on what? Well, many of us should know the answer to this. Is DirectX 9 outdated? We're looking for an update at some point. Just going to say. So that was option 1. All right, those are the normal questions. Rolling straight into the hard. The hard ones were worth, again, double. 4 points for everyone you get correct here. And let's hope you got a few. So what was the name of your father as a Char? For those of you who played as Char, you probably know this. The only correct answer here is option 2, Argus Fool Killer. These are all Char NPCs, for what it's worth. But Argus, he was your old dad. Number 2, what strength statistically are your PvP weapons equivalent to? Now, you might think level 80 exotics. That works, right? You might even think level 80 rares. That also works. We're well familiar that our PvP weapons do less damage than in PvE. Ascended, you could even think, because why wouldn't they want to standardize the numbers? But actually, the answer is none of those. It's level 78 exotics. Bizarre, I know, but true. The weapons may say on them, oh, requires level 80, but their strength is level 78 exotics. Moving on, question 3. Which of these is not a Guild Wars 2 damage type? This probably threw a few of you through a loop. We don't really have damage types in Guild Wars 2. This isn't Guild Wars 1 where you had, different types of elemental damage and chaos damage and dark damage and so on. But it is a question. It is applicable. Physical, fire, choking, or slashing. Well, the biggest outlier there probably looks like choking, right? That's not true. There are damage types in Guild Wars 2. All these things do is affect the animation that plays when you kill something. So, if you kill someone with a fire damage attack, then they burn to death at the very end. If you craft yourself the legendary weapon Incinerator, whenever you score a kill with the Incinerator, it will burn people to death because it changes all your skills to have that fire property. So, this is what we're talking about, and there is no slashing. Slashing is the correct answer here. Choking seems like an outlier, but if you kill someone with a poison attack, then they play the choking animation. So, question 4. Which character of the devs often joke that they use for size comparison? Some of you may have found this very easy, but only if you're very in tune with the community and you listen to the devs a lot. Some obvious answers here may be, you know, Air Stagaukin, right? She's a huge character. What about Timey? Timey is on the other end of the scale. She's very small. What about Logan? I mean, he's kind of your average dude, but then so is Lady Casimir. But then Lady Casimir is only a new character. If they've always been using a character for size comparison, surely they'll be using a character since launch. For Logan, well, no. The correct answer is Lady Casimir. And there's even a joke in-game about her being sad that she's being used as a unit of measurement. Next question. What happened to your sister as a human? Your sister's only a character that you meet if you do a very specific branch as a human. But she does exist in the story. And what happens after that story arc? Does she just stay in the home instance? Does she die as a part of the story? Does she go missing? Makes sense for her to go missing, right? Just a plot dropped and abandoned? Well, no. Actually, the correct answer is option 1. She joins the Vigil, and she actually does a lot of stuff beyond then. How much does Garm weigh? Now, this is kind of a weird question. It's like, wait, we have specific information about how much Garm weighs. We do indeed. It's option 4, 280 pounds. Garm is a direwolf. You may just think of him as a regular wolf when stood next to Air, but Air is a Norn and also huge. Garm weighs 280 pounds. Jesus. Question 7. Which weapon type has the most skins associated with it? The answer to this is actually option 1, Focus. As much as we love greatswords, Focuses have the most types of skins, even though they're fairly small, unassuming weapons in the grand scheme of things. Question 8. What color does the magic find bar change to when you max it out? That's an interesting question. For what it's worth, what color is it by default? You'd have to ask yourself when answering this question. The correct answer here is green. It starts by default at yellow. When you max it out, it turns green. That's option 2. Question 9. In which dungeon does Zogja appear without her headdress on? Damn, that's a specific piece of information. Well, the options we have, Zogja does appear in all of these dungeons, but the only one where she doesn't have a headdress is Caudicus's Manor. Again, it seems to be one that you might not expect, as Caudicus's Manor, they're all dressed up for a dinner party. But no, it's in a cutscene right at the start of Caudicus's Manor story mode that you see Zogja looking bald as the day she was born. And question 10. The Chinese release date for Heart of Thorns was when exactly? Now, you might have wanted to say October 23rd. October 23rd was when it was releasing for us. Well, what about just a little bit later, maybe November 1st? Maybe it's not out at all. The correct answer is actually option 3. It released on November 20th, just a few days ago, actually, of the uploading of this video. Okay, and last of all, onto the ultra hard. The meanest questions I could come up with over the past couple of months. Let's do it. Question 1. Which of these was not considered a potential alliance for Scarlet Briar? Wow, well, where do you even start with this? The only way to get the answer to this question is to visit Scarlet's secret lab beneath the Dermond Priory, which is still in-game, by the way, despite being added Living World Season 1. If you never played Living World Season 1, you almost definitely don't know about this answer. And even if you did play, you've probably forgotten or had no idea existed. But in Scarlet's secret lair is a hidden piece of paper, which she'd drawn on, pairing up various races. And many of the lines she eventually scribbles out. After she considers them, she decides they're not worthwhile, and she comes to the alliances we came to know about. But she did consider, for a time, the Lagos and the Tengu. She did consider the Kodan and the Lagos. She did consider the Centaurs and the Hylic. The only group she never considered in the first place were the Ettins and the Inquest. Option 4 was the correct answer to this question. Question 2. Which weapon type has the least amount of skins in the game? This one's actually a lot harder and less clear than what has the most skins. The answer is option 1, tridents. There are less tridents than there are other underwater weapons, such as the spear gun, and even weird above ground weapons that you might not think have that many skins, such as the focus and torch. Question 3. Balthazar's hounds are known as what? So, the god has 2 hounds, and you can even call to them when you summon them as a human. But what are their real names in lore? All of these names that I've listed here actually do belong to characters, but all of them are associated with char names, except option 3, Tamar and Tegan. That is what Balthazar's hounds are called. Question 4. Where do you encounter Gravespawn grubs? Gravespawn grubs. Now, Gravespawn grubs only appear in one part of the personal story in the entire game. They are not mobs that you will see anywhere else. You may have thought Gendarin Fields because of like the crypt area to the north. Unfortunately, you'd be wrong. You might have thought about Aral Story Mode or Straits of Devastation because, look, they're very undead heavy places. But the only place that you find them is in the Temple of the Forgotten God. They are mobs that are spawned in the boss fight at the end of that story instance. A similar question comes up next. Question 5. Which of these doesn't actually exist in Guild Wars 2? Is it the Giant Chief, the Lesser Bladed Attack, or Ache? I can't remember how to pronounce it. The Greater One, or a Sandworm? Actually, the only one that doesn't exist is the Greater Bladed Attack. The lesser ones appear in a personal story instance. The Giant Chiefs appear in personal story instances. Sandworms appear on South Sun Cove. And so the Greater Bladed Ache is the only one that does not exist, thus making it the correct answer. And in fact, there's no such thing as a Bladed Ache at all either. No such thing. Question 6. This is a big lore question. The Jaws of Oblivion is also known as what? Have you ever heard of the Jaws of Oblivion? Well, our options were Hrangma, the Slaven Pitch, Bula Crossing, or the Maelstrom's Core. All of these are locations or points of interest. It's actually Hrangma. Hrangma is the volcano where the Char originally found the Titans and is now the location of the Citadel of Flame. That volcano you go to where the Flame Legion are hanging out? That's Mount Hrangma. Question 7. Which of these is not a skill? Buoy, or boy, as we say in England. Water Fist, Death Curse, or Conceal the Depths. Now, you might have noticed that these are all underwater abilities. How many of you know all the names of all the underwater downstate skills in the game? Well, the only one that is not real is Conceal the Depths. Now, Guardian gets Reveal the Depths, but Conceal the Depths, though it may have sounded like it was a thief ability, is not actually a thief ability. So the correct answer here is Conceal the Depths, number 4. For what it's worth, Death Curse doesn't sound like a real skill either, but it's actually an underwater downstate necromancer skill. So it's a necromancer drowning ability. Death Curse. Question 8. The Aurian Fire Eater is most similar to a what? Aurian Fire Eater. A gargoyle, a drake, an abomination, or a risen knight? Well, you may have gone with, say, Abomination or Risen Knight. The answer here actually is Drake. This is the rarest creature in the game. It is a single mob that only appears with a specific unique character model and name and everything in a single mission to do with the Pact right towards the end of the game in Ore. And it looks most similar to a Risen Drake, just connected to this weird fiery stuff. Next, question 9 is which of these was not a packed vessel to crash over Verdant Brink? Thunderbreak, Farron's Flyer, Plains of Gogglheim, Whitebrez, Pride. Well, you should recognize all of these. They're all ships that were crashed over Verdant Brink, except I was a little bit mean here. It's actually the Thunderbreaker, not just Thunderbreak. So it's option 1. And lastly, I tried to think what is the meanest thing you could ask someone. Identify the odd one out. Extraction complete, memories in your hand, please follow me to the exit, or Bat Wrangler. The odd one out here is Bat Wrangler. Now, you may have just guessed that, but the reason it's Bat Wrangler is because all 3 of those other achievements all belong to the retired achievements section where the attack on LA was going on. Bat Wrangler is a new achievement that was only recently added with Heart of Thorns. So that's why it's the odd one out. And there you go, guys. Add all of that stuff up. The ultra hard questions were worth 6. You could have had a total of 130 points. Again, if you got 0 to 40, you are a novice. 41 to 60, you're a veteran. 61 to 80, you're elite. 81 to 100, you're champion. And 101 to 120, you are legendary. Finally, the best of the best. Get 121 to 130, your turn. Let me know what tripped you up. If you dispute any of these answers, I'd love to hear it. Thanks very much for playing Mastermind today, guys. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.